I think we should also talk a little bit about the spacing. I'm assuming you're with me that we don't need to be super aggressive and trigger these sequences like every day and just beat somebody into a submission, but we're spacing these out, giving them at least 36 hours between calls, or 2 or 3 days, and then try an email, give them a couple days to respond, follow up with a phone call. And to me, tying back to our attitude, the ideal process is here, we let them know that we're serious, we're committed. This isn't just a flyby spam. There's a reason we're reaching out, and we expect to talk to them at some point. And that they can say no at any point too. So you can just say, hey, if this isn't working, shoot me back a text and say, nope, we're good, we got it, and I'll take you off the list, and I'll stop that cadence, because I think that's where I see a lot of this techniques going wrong in 2024 is a lot of robot spam. Again, I mentioned I get a ton of LinkedIn requests, and all of them are in the same format that I'm pretty sure that person didn't even log in or look at my profile, because it had a trigger word in it, but it wasn't the stuff that they're pitching me, right? Because I have podcast host on my profile. I get a lot of podcast production services, submissions for guests and things, and it'd be like, oh, I love your show, it looked like this, blah blah blah, and it's like the same format message from 10 people in a row. I'm pretty sure that I don't need to respond to any of those, right? Because they're not real humans. And that to me, the humanity in our sequences and our follow-up and our automation is kind of the key success here.
And you raise a really massive point there, because there can be a fine line between crossing over that automation line, and then it turns into this unpersonalized spammy sort of type of message. And you can sort of see why people get into that stage if you're a salesperson, because you want to try and reach as many people as possible. But I think that there's a fine line there between going over that and then coming across as every other typical salesperson. So I think there's a way that we need to try and manage and utilize automation and tools to our advantage, but don't maybe leave that sort of negative taste in your mouth of the prospect by coming across like every other salesperson, I think, as well.
So what are some of your best tips, tricks, and hacks for 2024? I feel like I've been stealing a lot of the low-lying fruit and making you work hard. So I'm going to give you first crack at this one. What are some of your favorite tools, maybe scripts, lines, tactics? What's working for you these days?
Yeah, so I think I touched on it earlier on, but cold calling still really effective for me.
What does that sound like for you, or what does it look like?
Yeah, for me, it's I've been blessed to have a great coach in terms of Andy McCready. So he's been a great sort of use or resource for me. But in terms of my my opening, it's very permission based opener. Hey Mike, I know I'm calling you out the blue here. Do you mind if I take 30 seconds to tell you the reason for the call, and perhaps you can tell me if it makes sense for us to carry on. So it's a very permission based opener. It's funny you bring this up, actually, because I picked up some. I really like what Emily Eaps is doing at Sandler in terms of bringing the strokes into the talk tracks, those modern day talk tracks, and that's definitely something I've been trying to utilize more of, in terms of leading with the fact that your company is successful, because most of the time they've got to the place they are pretty successful and they've got to a certain level based on that success. And I think it's really important that we adapt to those modern talk tracks. And I really like what Emily was bringing into that in terms of most of the types of businesses we speak with are successful. They've got a great product and great people, and but perhaps what's working now is a little bit harder than what used to work. So I think that approach as well is something that is definitely worth.
Tell me a little bit about the list. Are you using ZoomInfo, or are you just doing your own prospecting research? How do you know who to cold call?
Yeah, so I'm a big fan of ZoomInfo. I haven't been using it for a huge amount of time, but I'm fully aware of the types of tech that's available. But really sort of, I think ZoomInfo is a great tool, and it's been a bit of an eye opener for me in terms of getting the right quality data for me, mobile numbers is key, because I'm obviously a fan of cold calling. So I want to be able to have that data readily available. And that sort of syncs directly into LinkedIn as well, which is crucial in terms of, actually pulling together a list and just being efficient at calling that list. So it's really quick and super easy to integrate and use. So, Zoom Info has been a game changer in my eyes. Obviously, HubSpot is all entwined in that. Then putting these prospects into a CRM that can be utilized to manage that relationship and collect the data of the conversations and obviously use the marketing side there to to nurture those people throughout as well. But one thing I'd like to sort of maybe touch on as well slightly, Mike, is the whole piece around setting yourself up to prospect as well. And I think that sort of maybe it falls into a bit of attitude as well, but just things, simple things like time blocking, time blocking your calendar to block out time for when you're going to cold call. And I know it's super easy to do, and I think a lot of people maybe see that as a bit of a it's a bit obvious really, but having those time blocks in your calendar that you stick to and you're going to call and not be distracted between those times, I think again build that into your week, your planning, because I think it just helps put yourself in the right mindset to call or to prospect. And I think having it in your calendar is key. It's vital to be effective and successful and plan around it and organized, because it can be a bit overwhelming sometimes, prospecting and having all these different sort of cadences everywhere.
Getting in that habit and any type of tracker and measurement for your amount of activity, I think sometimes we fool ourselves and we say, oh, I was really busy today, and we spent all day just responding to emails that were incoming, and we didn't actually do any proactive outreach or our planned behaviors for the day. So that's a huge tip.